Hosted by you/cheesecake88. I, 34F, have a friend, whom I'll call Mary, 33F, who is getting married in 2 weeks. She and I have been friends for several years, and I was excited when she asked me if I could make her cake. I don't normally do cakes anymore for people outside of family and friends, as I'm currently pregnant, have a 1-year-old, and am currently pursuing another master's degree in education administration so I can be a school principal because teaching has no future without an admin license, unfortunately. At the time when she asked, I was also teaching full-time and finishing up a different master's program. Anyway, I agreed to make this cake over a year ago. I told Mary when she offered to pay that I would do it for free as my wedding gift to her. I distinctly said wedding gift. She accepted, and we started planning the design. Mary wanted a 4-tier cake with each tier a different flavor: white, chocolate, yellow, lemon, several sugar flowers and fondant decorations, as well as 3 different flavored buttercreams. It was a lot, but since she is having an August wedding, I had time because school would be out for summer, and I am actually taking a year off since finding out I was pregnant a few months ago. On Saturday, I went to Mary's bachelorette party. The party itself was fine, nothing remarkable happened. I couldn't drink, but everyone had fun. One of Mary's bridesmaids asked what we were all getting her for her wedding. I said I was making the cake for free. The bridesmaid and the other girls there said that was a good gift because cakes are expensive, and they wished they had gotten one for free. That was it, and I heard nothing else about it until today. Mary texted me and asked why I wasn't getting her a wedding gift. I told her I was, and that it was the cake, reminding her that the cake was free. She said that wasn't a gift, that it was a favor. I told her it's a gift and that she can't tell me what I can gift her. I then asked why she was mentioning it, and she said the bridesmaid I spoke to on Saturday told her that she was so lucky to get a free cake. She agreed but then got upset when the bridesmaid said, "That's a good gift." I asked her if her own bridesmaid thinks it's a good gift, what's the problem? She said it's not up to the bridesmaid to tell her what her gifts are. I told her that this is her gift. She responded that a gift needs to be something she can use in her marriage, not just the cake at the wedding. I explained that with me going to school and not working right now, this is a major expense that I'm taking on by doing it for free. She said that wasn't her problem and that a real friend would do both. I responded with, "Fine, I'll get back to you," and she thanked me for understanding. About 30 minutes later, I sent her a bill for her cake. The bill was for $700, with a deposit of $350 due by this Friday and the rest 24 hours before the event start time. She asked me what that was for, and I told her that since it's not a gift, she needs to pay for it. She said she couldn't afford it, and I told her I didn't care, this is what business looks like. I did promise to get her a gift offer registry, though. She told me no cake is worth $700, but in the bill breakdown, I pointed out where the costs were coming from: ingredients, transportation, her venue is 45 minutes away, additional labor, my husband helps me deliver cakes, so he's getting paid, too, last-minute booking, time, and the size of the cake, along with the intricate decorations she wants. She said she shouldn't be charged for anything since I promised to do it for free, and it's too late to find another baker. I responded, that sounds an awful lot like not my problem because it isn't. She then asked if I could just do the cake for free and forget the gift, but I said no, this is the new deal, and I haven't responded to her text since. She and her fiancé were venting in a group message with a wedding party that I'm not in. One of the bridesmaids, who is a mutual friend, asked me what happened after telling me what was being said in the group text. I sent her the messages of our exchange, and now, apparently, the bridal party is divided. Some are saying I should go back and do the cake for free like I originally promised, while others are telling Mary she was wrong. It has apparently become a huge ordeal. Her fiancé is now mad at both of us for being petty and ridiculous. My husband is on Team Mary can suck an egg and doesn't think I should do the cake or get the gift. However, he told me to remember that this could cost me a friendship, but he'd support me either way. He thinks I should stand my ground and not let Mary push me around. However, my husband also doesn't really like Mary for unrelated reasons, so he may be biased. Am I wrong for charging my friend for the cake and refusing to do it for free after she got mad at me? First update 1 day later. I read as many comments as I could. To be honest, I did not expect the number of responses I got, and I responded to who I could. This post was originally going to be about answering as many repeat questions as I could, but this morning, the mutual friend bridesmaid, whom I'll call Pam, messaged me to give me an update. Mary and her fiancé, whom I'll call Frank, are currently not on speaking terms because they got into an argument last night. It wasn't directly because of the cake, but because of what the cake debacle revealed to Frank. Apparently, Mary has been spending a lot of his money on this wedding. Now, we all kind of already knew that. Mary told us that Frank and his family would be footing the bill. He's an engineer, and his family has a lot of money. I'm not exactly sure where their family wealth comes from, but it was enough to pay out of pocket for him and his siblings to attend expensive universities debt-free. What we didn't know is that they've been arguing about the finances this entire time, and my cake was the last straw for Frank. Mary's budget for their wedding was $30,000, but she's apparently spent almost double that on intricate flowers, her wedding dress, decorations, engagement photos, catering, an open bar, entertainment, and flying her family in and paying for their accommodations. The venue alone took a significant chunk of their money due to its size and location, an hour away from where we all live. It's a large house, possibly a mansion, with several acres of land, horses, a lake, and a field for wedding photos. The entire wedding party is supposedly staying there for a few days leading up to the wedding. I haven't seen it in person. Again, I'm not in the wedding party and never was, but the photos online make it obvious why it's so expensive. I had no idea they had spent that much, and neither did anyone in the wedding party. As far as we all knew, the most expensive thing Mary had bought was her wedding dress, which cost $5,000. I only know because I went with her to try some on with other friends and bridesmaids. Pam's fiancé is one of Frank's groomsmen, and Frank has been venting to the groomsmen in texts about how much this wedding is costing. He's not sure he wants to go through with it anymore. However, he feels compelled to because the money has already been spent and is non-refundable. He said he didn't know Mary would be this way about the wedding because she typically sticks to budgets, which is true. Literally everyone is surprised by how much she is supposedly spending, including my husband and me. Mary is usually the type of person who buys off-brand items at the store to save $1, even when she doesn't really need to. From what Pam told me, Mary asked Frank to just pay me so she could have the cake, and he said no, not because he couldn't afford it, but because he was tired of spending money on just one day. He told her to figure it out herself. So, nobody knows what's going on anymore or if there will even be a wedding. No one has reached out to me about making the cake, either, and my husband, for those wondering, is still on Team Mary can suck an egg. Before anyone asks, no, Mary did not grow up poor. She was very much middle class, like I was, and she's never been broke or anything. She's also never seemed like someone who wanted overly expensive things. She drives a 10-year-old sedan that, despite Frank saying she needs a new car, she won't get rid of because it runs fine, and my dad taught me to drive my cars into the ground. So, believe me when I say it's really out of character for her to be this nonchalant about money. I'm not sure if I'll have another update. If I do, it'll be after the wedding, if there is one. Edit. I know a lot of people are saying things about Mary just using Frank for his money, but at the same time, I want to remember that Pam only gave me Frank's side via what he's been telling the groomsmen. I have no idea what role he's played in this and whether this has really bothered him up to this point or if he's ever mentioned the amount she's been spending to her. It's now 6 p.m., and I haven't spoken to or heard from Mary since yesterday after giving her the quote, so I don't have much more to add beyond my perspective. It really does seem out of character for Mary to be acting this way, but I remember when I got married, my husband said he wanted me to have what made me happy for our wedding. So if Frank has been telling her what my husband told me and still giving her money, then he's definitely not an innocent party in my opinion. Second update 26 days later. So I didn't expect this to actually get read on Charlotte's channel, but since it did, I'll let everyone know what ended up happening. And yes, it's confusing. Long story short, the villain in this situation wasn't, and isn't, Mary, it's Frank. And no, they did not get married. This update is all the information I've gathered from bridesmaid Pam and her fiancé, so bear with me. Most of this is what Mary has told Pam, who then relayed it to me. Anyway, I mentioned before that Mary was, and still is, a frugal person. That's why we all thought the gift and cake situation was strange, as well as her spending so much money on the wedding. It turns out that Mary has actually been trying to save money despite doubling their budget. Apparently, Frank's family always throws extravagant celebrations and parties. This includes birthdays, holidays, graduations, and weddings. So Frank has been emphasizing to Mary that their wedding is supposed to be huge because that's just how his family does things. I'm guessing it's a way to flaunt success, but that's just a guess, I don't actually know the real reason. But Frank has been hands off the entire time. I'm not surprised, my own husband only cared about the food, cake flavor, and making sure the colors weren't pink. However, Frank has been telling Mary to save money since that's what she's good at, and that he didn't want to spend a bunch of money on just one day. So, Mary picked out things that were cheaper but weren't good enough for Frank. For example, that mansion/large house where everyone would be staying? That was Frank's idea. Mary apparently wanted to book a hotel that hosted weddings because her family could stay there for less money, and the hotel was overall cheaper to host a wedding compared to a literal mansion with horses. Frank would do this with everything, vetoing her choices of decorations and vendors because they weren't big enough or extravagant enough. He even dictated how big her bouquet had to be and insisted that her dress needed to have lots of bling. So basically, Mary had been trying to stick to the budget, but what was within the budget didn't match Frank's taste or expectations. So when I said she had to pay for the cake, Frank accused Mary of not saving them money, despite her being so money conscious. And Mary wasn't the one who had the problem with the cake, it was Frank. I guess they both knew the cake was free, but Frank didn't realize I was making it as a gift. When Mary explained that I was, he said that didn't count and told her to ask me about it. He argued that it didn't count because friends doing favors for an event like a wedding isn't a real gift. On some level, she must have agreed because she didn't mention Frank being the one with the problem in our messages, but whatever. Anyway, the cake was what Mary was really looking forward to because it was the only thing she felt she had 100% control over regarding the wedding. When I charged her for it, Frank got upset that Mary wasn't saving them money like he expected, which led to a fight where they ended up not on speaking terms. When Frank was complaining to Pam's fiancé and the rest of the groomsmen via text, Mary apparently found the messages. According to Pam, Mary left Frank for making her seem like a greedy BTCH to everyone when she was only getting the things Frank wanted without his help. She told him that if it were up to her, they wouldn't have most of the expensive things she bought for the wedding. The only contact I've had from Mary was an apology text message. When I told her it was okay and that we were still friends, she didn't respond. In fact, she hasn't responded to anyone except to inform the wedding party that the wedding was off, apologize for the inconvenience, and then she went quiet. She did post a long apology on her social media for canceling. She said postponed, but I noticed her relationship status is gone. The location/check-in on her post is in her hometown where her parents live, not where we live, so I think she went back to her parents' house after calling off the wedding. But that's all I know, and I heard it secondhand from Pam. According to Pam, Frank is upset that Mary left because all his money is tied up in vendors that he can't get back, and he's been trying to plead his case with the groomsmen. However, only his brother is on his side. Pam's fiancé and the other groomsmen have stopped talking to him. Also, I heard Charlotte asking why Mary wasn't paying for the wedding, too. I can't answer that definitively, but Mary works as an STNA and doesn't make a lot. Her bachelor's degree is in psychology, and she never went on to get her doctorate, so getting employed in her field isn't very easy. I also don't know if they're still together. Mary didn't explicitly say they broke up, just that the wedding is postponed/cancelled. I apologize if this confused anyone, but I'll try to answer anything I can in the comments. Just remember I heard most of this secondhand, aside from the apology I got from Mary and the post she made online, so I may not have all the answers. Commenter. I don't understand the connection between Mary wanting a gift and a free cake to Frank being the villain. Isn't Mary still wrong for asking for a gift? Ops response. She is, but she apologized, and I accepted it. The only part I'm not clear on is how it even came up as a conversation between her and Frank. It might have just been casual, or she may have been talking on speakerphone. I do that with my husband in the room, so he sometimes hears my conversations even if he's not part of them. It sounds like Frank was upset that they were now paying for the cake when he thought it would be free, and the goal was to spend as little money as possible on nice stuff. I'm guessing that if I had agreed to do the cake and given them a bill from the beginning instead of volunteering to do it for free, I would have been dealing with that's too expensive for a cake or we're friends, I should get a discount. There likely would have been negotiating from the start, regardless. I've had people pull those lines on me before, which is another reason why I rarely do cakes for people, even if they offer to pay. They still want some type of discount and get mad when I don't give one.